Life often takes unexpected turns in just one day, and at times it seems like nothing can be altered. However, in such moments, it is crucial to remain humane and not be indifferent to what is happening around us. Daniel was facing a long and exhausting day. His job was demanding, and there were times when he wished to give it all up. Yet he knew he had to endure it for the sake of his family's well-being. They were in a tough financial situation, and he constantly worried about money. Each day behind the wheel felt as mundane as the previous one. He didn't dare dream of change, but then suddenly his wish was granted. However, what awaited him did not quite match his expectations. On his way home, lost in his thoughts, he contemplated his little daughter Daniela. He was deeply concerned about her health. Recently, he and his wife learned that their little one had a cyst. It required an expensive operation, and even the doctors said that without this surgery, Daniela would not live for more than 3 years. The man was driven to despair when he thought about it. When the doctors presented the astronomical sum for the operation, the spouses became even more distressed. How could they accumulate such a huge amount, even with 2 years of good income? The man promised his wife that he would do whatever it took. He asked his boss for extra shifts, often lingering behind the wheel until late at night. It was during a snowstorm that he accidentally came across a woman lying unconscious on the road. Visibility was practically zero, and the headlights of his truck were the only things visible on the road. The man couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the helpless body. He shouted at the girl, but she did not respond, so he decided to get out of the truck and approach her. At first, he couldn't even feel a pulse, but then he felt a shock, as if electricity had hit him. The woman's eyes slowly began to open, and she gradually regained consciousness. To warm her up as quickly as possible, the man lifted her and carried her to his car. He turned the car heater to the maximum temperature and began asking her urgent questions. The woman's name was Erin, and she began to tell Daniel about how when she informed her husband about the bankruptcy of their company, he became furious, took her far from town, and started beating her. Eventually, she realized he wanted to get rid of her, and there was no other way but to escape deep into the woods. Carefully considering her words, Daniel replied that he could not believe that someone close could commit such a vile act. He felt terribly sorry for Erin, but then it struck him that he needed to take care of his own family. He took Erin to the hospital and returned home. He told his wife everything that had happened, including the story with Erin. His wife considered him a true hero, as you never know what could have happened if he hadn't found her. However, she had worrisome news. Their daughter's condition was worsening day by day. The next day, Daniel received a phone call from the hospital. Erin wanted to personally thank her savior. Daniel told her it was fate, and he was sure that anyone else in his place would have done the same. Nevertheless, she insisted that he deserved all the praise. He was also shocked when she touched upon another topic. It turned out that the nurse had told Erin about the man's life situation. She started questioning him about how his daughter was doing. He told her that his little girl's condition was deteriorating every day, and perhaps an operation was needed. He was so immersed in his narrative that he even reached the point of explaining why he had to drive in the middle of the night to earn more money. It was nice to share his thoughts with someone. He had always been the one consoling his wife and daughter, but kept his own problems to himself. Daniel left the hospital that day in a gloomy mood. He understood that he could help other people, but could not do anything to help his own daughter. He did not take Erin's contact information, but he hoped that the young woman would be fine. A few days later, he had already forgotten about this incident. Daniel had other concerns. He was trying to find another job, although he was already exhausted. He and his wife were desperately in need of money. Time went by, and the man became more and more desperate that he could not do anything to help his daughter. He was on the verge of a breakdown. Just when Daniel thought all hope was lost and he had to resign himself to his situation, his phone rang. The caller was inquiring about his daughter. It turned out the caller was a chief doctor of the city's best hospital. He had news for their family. The doctor informed them that a transfer had just come in covering the required amount for his daughter's surgery. He said, "I'd be grateful if you could come to the hospital today to finalize preparations and schedule the operation." When Daniel heard the man out, he was left speechless. He and his family rushed to the hospital. His wife was thankful and at the same time astonished. Their little daughter was taken in on the same day, and doctors began preparing for the surgical procedure. The entire process, including tests and preparations, took about a week. The parents were overjoyed when their daughter finally rid herself of the illness. Now she could live a normal life like any other girl her age. She smiled as if she knew she could finally enjoy life to the fullest. Yet one crucial circumstance still troubled Daniel. Inquiries at the hospital yielded no results, and they couldn't figure out where the money for the surgery had come from. Daniel and his wife called all their acquaintances, asking if any of them had sent help. All of them responded negatively. The lifesaver of their daughter remained a mystery to them. However, they hoped that the generous person would be blessed. One day, as they sat by their daughter's bedside during the recovery period after surgery, Daniel looked up and was amazed to see Aaron, who proceeded to explain everything. It turned out that all of her company's problems were in the hands of her husband. For years, he had been embezzling from the company, and when she declared bankruptcy to him, he couldn't believe he could no longer steal money from the company. Soon after her husband's arrest, the business began to flourish, and she managed to accumulate enough money to help her savior. Sometimes life unfolds in a way that all its circumstances lead us to a specific moment, and when it seems there's no other way out, a chance or encounter will inevitably occur that can completely change your life.